boundaries. Do you struggle with boundaries as much as I do? I feel like boundary work is never-ending work. This is really an area where a skill that you can just get better at, and you get better at it with practice. So whenever that boss or that family member tests your boundaries, thank them, because they are making you stronger. Okay, hello everybody, and welcome to the Confidence Tribe podcast. And I'm Ursula, and I am on a mission to help you speak up and be seen and heard with impact so that you can grow your career and in your personal life. Doesn't that sound fun? Now, if you love communication skills and learning how to level up, I want to invite you to follow this podcast. Press the follow, leave a comment, send me your questions. I want you to be part of this tribe. And if you love leveling up and strengthening your communication skills, my online course has dropped, it has launched, it is available, and I'd love you to go check that out. So let's get into the first episode for the Confidence Tribe podcast. Here's the hard truth. If you don't advocate for yourself, nobody else will. So advocating for self is your responsibility. This is on you, which means that you have to get good at this. Otherwise, when you shrink, when you hold back, you don't get seen for the promotion, you don't get seen for the opportunity, you're not the first name that comes to mind when that thing that you can lead is there. So I created this very fun framework so that self-advocacy can become your next superpower. And the framework is VIBE. So the V is for value, the I, illustrate your wins, B, boundaries, and the E, engage proactively. All right, so let's get into those. What does that mean? I'm going to give you an overview of what each one of these means, how it looks like, and how you can actually implement this. V, value. Okay, the first thing you've got to do is to value your own voice, to value that you matter, that your skills matter, that your gifts matter, and to start speaking that and saying that. And so here we have a shift in language. So when we value what we do and who we are, we say things like, I got this, I can do this, and we're no diminishing of self. What does diminishing language look like? It looks like, I'm such a silly. I'm so messy. My fiance calls me out quite a few times because he said, why do you always say you're messy? You're not messy. And so I had to kind of release that, because you have to value how strong and how powerful you are. So with valuing your voice and who you are and what you have to offer the world, there's also knowing what you value. And in a lot of leadership coaching, we go into what are your values. So I want to do a fun exercise with you. And I remember I would do value exercises, and every time I looked at my values, I would have new values. They would change because every day I feel different. So I would have a new value. Has that ever happened to you before? Okay, so I wanted to get really clear on what I stand for, what are my values, and so that if you wake me up in the middle of the night and you say at 2 a.m, you go, Ush, what are your values? I could give it to you. Clear, easy, firm. So if I had to wake you up in the middle of the night and say, hey, what are your values? What will you say? And say the same ones each and every single time. Because those type of values are the ones we carry with us in business and in relationships. And they drive our decision making. So in true Ursula style, speaker style, coach style, trainer style, I love an acronym like the VIBE framework. And so I did the same thing with my values so that I can stop forgetting them and actually remember them. And so I designed this value acronym called FIRST, FIRST. F is for freedom, I, integrity, R, responsibility, S, safety, T, trust. Boom. Those are the values. And I use that as the compass, and it's part of my growth journey. Freedom, bringing freedom into freedom of expression, freedom of how I run my career, freedom to run, freedom to move. So that is how you get crystal clear on what do you actually value, and then bring value into those. And the most important value is the valuing your voice. Because see, when we do this work, when we get into the work of the fact that you matter and your voice matters, that's when we're able to start speaking up more. So the biggest question I get is, Ursula, how do I get my voice heard in a meeting? How do I bring my ideas forward? And don't worry, I've got a whole episode covering that. But before you can actually get into the tools and the skills I teach people on sharing their ideas, it only works once you get the first part right, the part where you value yourself. So that's part one in self-advocacy. How much fun is that? Then we go into the I. Illustrating your wins. We need to normalize celebrating our wins, saying our wins, not feeling that we're arrogant or covering up or hiding from the things that we are winning at. And so I want to give you this really fun tip on how you can frame it, how you can do the humble brag. Because the humble brag helps people, makes you seen and heard. And you can frame this as a learning opportunity. What a great shift is that? So when, for example, let me do a humble brag. I won the Speaker Factor competition with the PSASA. And so when I share this in some of my talks or training, I would say, all right, so here's what I learned from winning the PSASA, the Speaker Factor. They announced my name and all of the imposter syndrome, I felt all of it came through for me. So now we can share about how you had to overcome that imposter syndrome and really allow yourself to celebrate that win. So it's just the reframe. Illustrate your wins, share it with people. It feels uncomfortable. It's so cringe. But look at the learning and lessons that came from it. And that's how you get your voice heard. So what's that win? You can start sharing. The next part in the framework is boundaries. Do you struggle with boundaries as much as I do? I feel like boundary work is never-ending work. This is really an area where a skill that you can just get better at. And you get better at it with practice. So whenever that boss or that family member tests your boundaries, thank them, because they are making you stronger. Here's a little exercise for my boundary setters. Get clear on what you want to protect. Okay, so complete the sentence. I protect my. What do you protect? So it sounds like this. I protect my health. I protect my energy. I protect my peace. I protect my family. I protect my reputation. I protect my growth. So when you start getting clear on what you are protecting, that's where the boundary comes in. Because if something is going to not give you peace, if it's going to make you tired, if it's going to compromise on your integrity, on your reputation, then it's a very easy no. And no has a full stop. And you've heard that one before. People have said to you before, no is a full stop. But why is it still so difficult? So here's a very nice tip for boundary work. Actually, I've got 2 tips because this is so good. So the first one is when you state your boundary, because you're protecting your energy, your peace, your family, whatever that zone that you are protecting. You can say, let's say that you have a weekend that is packed with events, packed with a baby shower, and you have a run in the morning, and you have a family thing in the afternoon, and another baby shower. So there's 2 baby showers, a family thing, and a run. Now, if you're trying to please everybody, and it's hard to say no, then you want to say yes to everything, and you just drive like a crazy person, and you're trying to get to everything. So to say no and to not disappoint your people, you can often say, hey, I can't make it to that event, but here's what I can do. So you can get another opportunity. I can't, so instead of always being the person who says, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't make it, and always feel like you're disappointing, change the language to, I can't do that. But here's what I can do. I can take you out for a coffee next weekend, or I can go for a run with you at that place. So create new opportunities so that you can protect your energy, your peace, your state of mind. So I can't do X, but here's what I can do. It's a nice shift. Another shift is to start taking all those places where you're saying that you can't. And sometimes you can turn those can'ts into a don't. So instead of saying, I can't stay till 9 p.m. tonight, you can say, I don't stay till after 8:30 on a weeknight. I don't, because I've got to run in the morning. Or you say, I don't eat gluten. I don't eat gluten because, why? You don't even say because it compromises my health. So I don't eat gluten. Not that you can't, you don't. So start getting clear. I heard a very powerful woman, we're doing a roundtable discussion, and she said, just so confidently, she said, I don't do work where it's anywhere less than X amount. And that was a big figure. She said, I don't do anything that's less than that amount for a 1-day training. And that was strong. That was confident. That was her boundary. So just being able to say it, I don't. It's not that she can't, she doesn't. Because she protects her family time, her energy, and she values the work that she gives to people. So self-advocacy, really, everything fits and feeds into each other. And then the E, engage proactively. This one is for when you get rejected. When you shared that idea in the meeting and you were so excited about it and you shared it and it's crickets. That nobody comments on it and they just move on to the next thing. Or you sent a proposal and you don't hear from them, or they go, oh, not right now. Or you reached out to someone and they said the time wasn't right, or whatever that is. Be proactive. A few months later, a few weeks later, this is the word you want to use. You say, hey, I'd like to circle back. That's the word. Circle back. Circle back to the opportunity. Circle back to that interview discussion. Circle back to the proposal. It maybe wasn't the right time then. Is it the right time now? I want to circle back to you had an idea and we never spoke about it again, and I'd really like to talk about it again. So just come back. You can always circle back. I shared this with a friend recently, and she said, Ursh, I was in tears when I discovered the power of circle back, because she never knew she had opportunities to stand up for herself after being rejected, after getting the no, that she could stand up again and go again. So you can do that for yourself. Nobody can advocate for you as powerfully as you can advocate for yourself. And apart from that, nobody will advocate for you unless you do it, because you give yourself a voice. So today I want to leave you with the vibe framework. Let me know how that lands, and I'd love to hear your questions and your comments below so that we can build our tribe where we get our voices heard, because your voice matters. Thank you, tribe. I'll see you in the next episode.